Yeah, in the last video, I created this button component, and what we're starting to have here is we're having a bunch of different elements at the top level, and while that's fine, you can add as many as you want. So it's actually quite useful to be able to group these into different categories, and so that things are a bit more organized and maybe easier to find once you end up with lots of them. So what Zing lets you do is, if you were to rename this loader, for example, I could call this loader bars, and maybe this one here I'd call, I don't know, you normally wouldn't have two separate components exactly, like very similar like this, but maybe you would. Maybe I'll call it colored bars, or bars, colored. What was this one? This one's a spinner, so loader.spinner. And this last one, I think, is pulse.pulse. There you go. Now you can see that these are all grouped inside this group called loader, and you can collapse it if you want. The other thing is something like button. Maybe we might want to call this component.button, and maybe something like when you just have a single component like this, you probably wouldn't group it. But if we're building up a system, a design system or something, we might end up with lots of little basics like this. So let's call this basic.bar. And if maybe this loader, if you actually want this to be component.loader, you could either rename it like I have been doing, or you can drag it. So I'll just drag it into component, and now these files are actually being renamed to component.loader.bars. And when you see how it's been referenced in the code, you'll see here that this is this used to be loader 01 or something. Now it's component.loader.bars, and even though that seems like a mouthful, it's actually can be quite useful to do that. For a smaller project like this that we have right now, it's not really that important, but I'm just showing you that this is a great technique, especially when you end up with lots and lots of components. And you'd be surprised how many components make up an app.